My dear brothers and sisters, if you are listening to this while feeling emotionally tired, spiritually confused, or quietly broken in ways no one around you seems to understand, then I want you to know that you are not forgotten by Allah and you are not being punished by Him. There are moments in life when everything feels heavier than it should, when what once felt stable begins to fall apart, and when the heart asks questions it never used to ask. In those moments, Shaitan whispers that Allah is displeased with you, but that whisper is a lie. Allah does not abandon His servants in hardship. Very often, hardship is how Allah brings His servants closer to Him. What feels like breaking is not destruction, and what feels like loss is not always removal. Sometimes Allah breaks you gently because He is preparing you for a version of life, faith, and strength that your current self could not yet carry. Today, let us reflect together on 7 powerful signs that this breaking is actually divine preparation. 1. Allah is detaching your heart from what you once loved deeply. One of the clearest and most painful signs that Allah is preparing you for something greater is that your heart begins to slowly detach from people, plans, and dreams that once felt essential to your happiness and sense of security. These are the things you once believed you could not live without, the things you built your emotional world around, the things that gave you comfort, identity, and hope. When Allah begins this detachment, it does not happen suddenly or harshly. It happens gently, gradually, often in ways you do not immediately understand. You may notice that the connection feels weaker, the excitement fades, or the reliance you once had no longer brings peace. This hurts deeply because love and attachment are rooted in the heart, and when Allah loosens those roots, it feels like something precious is being taken away from you, even though you tried your best to hold on. But Allah never removes anything without wisdom, and He never takes something from your heart unless keeping it there would eventually harm you. Allah knows the future of what you love, even when you do not. He knows which people will change, which plans will fail, and which dreams will not bring the peace you expected. Anything your heart clings to more than Allah, anything you depend on more than Him, will eventually become a source of disappointment, anxiety, or pain. So out of mercy, Allah begins to teach your heart how to let go. He does not rip things away suddenly. Instead, He slowly weakens the attachment until you are able to release it without being destroyed by it. During this process, you may feel empty, confused, or emotionally tired, wondering why your heart no longer feels the same. But this emptiness is not punishment, and it is not loss. It is space. Allah is creating space in your heart so that something stronger, purer, and more lasting can grow. He is teaching you that peace was never meant to come from people, outcomes, or control. Peace was always meant to come from reliance upon Him alone. When what once defined your happiness no longer controls your peace, you begin to experience a deeper calm that does not depend on circumstances. This detachment is not Allah pushing you away from love. It is Allah protecting your heart from loving things in a way that breaks you. It is Allah freeing your heart from chains you did not even realize were holding you down. When your heart finally learns to rest in Allah rather than in creation, you become stronger, calmer, and more stable, because what you rely on can never leave, never change, and never disappoint. This is not emptiness. This is Allah gently guiding your heart back to where it always belonged. 2. Allah is replacing your self-reliance with complete dependence on Him. Another powerful sign that Allah is preparing you for something greater is that the strength you once relied on begins to feel insufficient. There was a time when you trusted your planning, your intelligence, your effort, and your ability to manage life on your own. You believed that if you worked hard enough, thought carefully enough, and stayed in control, things would turn out the way you wanted. But now, despite your effort, things feel beyond your control. Plans stop working the way they used to, solutions fall apart, and you realize that no matter how strong or capable you are, There are situations you simply cannot fix by yourself. This realization can feel frightening and humbling because the ego resists the idea of weakness and struggles to accept vulnerability. However, Allah is not taking your strength away as punishment. He is correcting where your heart was placing its trust. True strength in Islam has never been about complete self-reliance. It has always been about recognizing your need for Allah in every moment. When Allah begins to remove the illusion that you can carry everything alone, He is guiding you toward a deeper, more honest relationship with Him. He is teaching your heart to say sincerely, without pride or fear, Ya Rab, I need you. And this statement is one of the most beloved forms of worship in the sight of Allah. During this stage, you may feel exposed, emotionally fragile, or unsure of yourself. You may wonder why you no longer feel as confident as before, or why life suddenly feels heavier. But what is actually happening is that Allah is teaching you humility, and humility is not weakness. Humility is clarity. It is the moment when you finally understand that your strength was never independent, that every ability you had was always a gift from Allah, and that real peace does not come from controlling outcomes, but from trusting the one who controls them. Allah humbles the hearts He intends to elevate. He weakens reliance on the self, so that reliance on Him becomes natural, sincere, and steady. Through this process, Allah prepares you to receive blessings without arrogance and trials without despair. He teaches you to turn to Him first instead of last, to seek His help before exhausting yourself, and to understand that needing Allah is not a failure of faith, but a sign of it. When your heart finally rests in complete dependence on Allah, you become stronger than you were before, because you are no longer carrying life alone. You are walking through it with the support of the one who never abandons His servants, never misguides their hearts, and never fails in His promise. 3. Allah is testing you quietly while protecting your dignity. Another clear sign that Allah is preparing you for something greater is that your trials are happening quietly, away from public attention and away from the eyes of people. You may notice that while you are struggling internally, very few people truly know what you are going through. Your pain is not broadcast. Your tears are not visible to everyone, and your test is not something you constantly explain or defend. This can sometimes make you feel lonely, as if no one understands the weight you are carrying, but in reality, this quiet testing is a form of Allah's protection over you. Allah is Al-Sattir, the one who conceals faults and preserves dignity, and when He tests a servant privately, it is often because He wants to protect that person from exposure, embarrassment, and unnecessary judgment. Not every test needs an audience, and not every struggle needs to be explained. Growth that happens in silence is often deeper, purer, and more sincere because it is between you and Allah alone. When no one is watching, your patience is more honest, your dua is more sincere, and your reliance on Allah becomes stronger. During this phase, Allah is teaching your heart an important lesson, which is to turn toward Him instead of seeking validation from people. Instead of explaining yourself, you learn to make dua. Instead of defending your pain, you learn to place it in sujood. Instead of asking people to understand you, you ask Allah to guide you. This quiet connection with Allah builds a type of strength that cannot be shaken by opinions or circumstances. You may feel misunderstood at times, or even forgotten, but you are neither. Allah sees every tear that falls in private, every silent prayer whispered at night, and every moment you hold yourself together when no one else knows how close you are to breaking. These unseen struggles are shaping your character, softening your heart, and preparing you for a level of spiritual maturity that public ease could never give you. Before Allah elevates a servant outwardly, He strengthens them inwardly. Before He gives them a voice, He gives them depth. Before He grants influence, He grants humility. This quiet testing is Allah building your foundation where no one else can interfere. When Allah eventually opens doors for you, you will not be dependent on praise, nor broken by criticism, because your strength was built in silence under His care and through His wisdom. 4. Allah is gently pulling your heart back toward Him. Another powerful sign that Allah is preparing you for something greater is that despite the pain, confusion, and emotional exhaustion you may be experiencing, your heart is being slowly and gently pulled back toward Allah. You may not fully understand why this is happening, but you notice changes within yourself that were not there before. You find yourself turning to dua more often, even if the words feel heavy. You think about Allah more deeply, even in moments of sadness. You reflect on the meaning of life, patience, and purpose in ways that you never did when everything felt easy. This inward turning is not accidental, and it is not something you forced. It is Allah guiding your heart back to Him at a time when you need Him the most. Hardship has a way of removing distractions that comfort once covered. When life was easy, your heart may have been busy with plans, people, and worldly concerns, leaving little space for reflection. But when Allah allows certain comforts to fade, He creates silence within the heart. And in that silence, the soul begins to listen. Allah does not pull you back to Him through fear or harshness, but through awareness and longing. You begin to realize that what you are truly seeking is not relief from pain alone, but closeness to Allah and reassurance from Him. During this stage, your relationship with Allah becomes more honest. You stop performing acts of worship out of habit alone and begin turning to Him with vulnerability. You speak to Allah about your confusion, your weakness, and your fear. You ask questions not out of doubt, but out of longing for understanding. Allah loves this type of return because it comes from sincerity, not comfort. Every tear that leads you to Allah is a form of worship, and every moment of confusion that pushes you to seek Him is a sign of His care. Allah often uses hardship as an invitation rather than a punishment. He invites the heart back to Him by showing it the limits of the world and the depth of His mercy. When you find yourself remembering Allah more in difficult moments, it is because He wants to remind you that you were never meant to carry life alone. He wants your heart to recognize that peace does not come from answers, control, or certainty, but from trust in Him. This return to Allah is not temporary. It is the foundation for something greater. When Allah strengthens your connection with Him during hardship, He is preparing you for blessings that will require spiritual grounding. He is teaching you how to stay close to Him not only when you are broken, but also when you are healed. This is how Allah builds a relationship that lasts beyond circumstances, and this is one of the greatest forms of preparation a believer can receive. 5. Allah is removing the taste of worldly distractions from your heart. Another profound sign that Allah is preparing you for something greater is that the things which once distracted you, entertained you, or gave you temporary comfort no longer bring the same satisfaction they once did. You may notice that activities you used to enjoy now feel empty. Conversations that once excited you now feel shallow, and pursuits that once occupied your mind now leave you feeling tired rather than fulfilled. This change can feel unsettling at first, because the human heart naturally seeks comfort, and when familiar sources of comfort stop working, it can feel like something is wrong. But in reality, this is not loss. This is Allah awakening your heart. When Allah intends good for a servant, He refines their inner taste. Just as the body can lose its appetite for food that harms it, the heart can lose its appetite for distractions that no longer serve its growth. Allah knows that many worldly pleasures are not evil in themselves, but when they become escapes, addictions, or substitutes for remembrance of Him, they slowly weaken the soul. So Allah gently removes the sweetness from them, not to deprive you, but to protect you from becoming dependent on things that were never meant to sustain your heart. During this stage, you may feel restless or bored, unsure of what to do with yourself, because the usual distractions no longer numb the discomfort inside. This restlessness is important. Allah is creating awareness. He is allowing you to feel the emptiness so that you can recognize what truly fills it. If Allah kept you constantly entertained, you might never pause long enough to reflect on what your soul actually needs. By removing the taste of distraction, Allah invites you to sit with yourself, to listen to your heart, and to recognize that what you are longing for is not stimulation but meaning. This process can feel uncomfortable because it exposes the difference between pleasure and peace. Pleasure is temporary and external, while peace is deep and internal. Allah wants to give you peace, but peace cannot settle in a heart that is constantly chasing noise. So He teaches your heart to slow down. He teaches you that constant entertainment does not heal pain, that approval does not cure loneliness, and that running from discomfort only delays growth. When these illusions fall away, you may feel vulnerable, but that vulnerability is the doorway to sincerity with Allah. As distractions fade, you may notice a growing desire for stillness, reflection, and substance. You may feel drawn to quieter moments, deeper conversations, and acts of worship that once felt difficult. This is Allah realigning your priorities. He is teaching you that your worth is not found in productivity, popularity, or pleasure, but in your relationship with Him. He is guiding you away from surfaces and into depth, away from noise and into meaning. Allah also removes distractions because He is preparing you for responsibility. A heart addicted to distraction cannot carry purpose, patience, or trust. Before Allah gives you something greater, He trains your heart to focus, to endure stillness, and to sit with unanswered questions without escaping. This is spiritual maturity. It allows you to face life honestly rather than hiding from it, and to face Allah sincerely rather than only in moments of ease. You may wonder why Allah has taken away your enjoyment of certain things while others seem carefree, but remember that Allah prepares different servants in different ways. Some are tested with loss, some with delay, and some with awakening. Losing interest in what once distracted you is a sign that Allah wants more for you than temporary comfort. He wants depth, clarity, and closeness to Him. He wants your heart to be strong enough to enjoy blessings without being owned by them, and to endure hardship without escaping from Him. This stage is not meant to last forever, but its lessons are meant to stay with you. When Allah later allows joy, it will be cleaner, calmer, and more balanced. When He allows pleasure, it will no longer control you. When He grants blessings, they will rest in your hands, not all your heart. This is how Allah prepares a servant to live in the world without being consumed by it. And this is one of the most merciful forms of guidance He gives. 6, Allah is teaching you patience through delay, uncertainty, and waiting. Another powerful sign that Allah is preparing you for something greater is that your life enters a phase where waiting becomes unavoidable and uncertainty becomes part of your daily experience. You may find yourself making dua repeatedly without seeing immediate results, putting in effort without clear outcomes, or standing at a crossroads where nothing seems to move forward the way you expected. This stage is often the most emotionally draining because the human heart naturally seeks clarity, reassurance, and resolution. When answers do not come quickly, the heart feels restless, and the mind begins to question whether Allah hears, whether progress is happening, and whether patience is even worth it. But Allah never delays without purpose. When Allah teaches patience, He is not asking you to suffer aimlessly. He is expanding your inner capacity. Patience in Islam is not passive waiting or silent frustration. It is active trust. It is choosing to remain steady while the heart feels stretched, choosing obedience while the outcome is unclear, and choosing hope even when circumstances offer none. Allah places His servants in seasons of waiting because certain qualities cannot be developed in comfort, speed, or ease. Patience grows only when time slows down and control is removed. During this phase, you may feel as if life is on pause while everyone else moves forward. This feeling can be deeply painful and isolating, but Allah is not ignoring you. He is focusing on you. He is teaching your heart to detach from urgency and attach to trust. Many people rush through life chasing outcomes, but Allah slows down those He wants to protect. He knows that some blessings, if given too early, would break you, confuse you, or pull you away from Him. So He delays, not to deny, but to align. Waiting also exposes what lives in the heart. When answers are delayed, the ego weakens and sincerity strengthens. You begin to see whether you are worshipping Allah for results or for closeness, whether your dua was rooted in trust or control, and whether your faith was conditional or steady. Allah uses uncertainty to purify intention. He removes guarantees so that your reliance becomes real, not theoretical. When you learn to say, Ya Allah, I trust you, even when I do not understand, your faith moves from words into lived experience. Patience also teaches emotional discipline. When Allah does not immediately change your situation, He changes you within it. He teaches you how to regulate fear, how to calm anxious thoughts, and how to stop living in constant anticipation of what might happen next. Through waiting, Allah trains your heart to remain present, grounded, and hopeful. Without needing constant reassurance, this emotional maturity becomes a lifelong strength that allows you to face future challenges with calm rather than panic. Allah often pairs patience with silence. You may find yourself explaining less, complaining less, and turning inward more. This is not because you have given up, but because Allah is teaching you that not every struggle needs to be announced and not every pain needs to be defended. Some forms of patience are private, quiet, and deeply personal. Allah rewards these moments generously because they are filled with sincerity and restraint. It is important to understand that Allah only teaches patience to those He intends to elevate. The Qur'an repeatedly links patience with Allah's closeness, guidance, and support. Through patience, Allah prepares you to carry responsibility, leadership, and blessing without arrogance or entitlement. A heart that has learned patience does not crumble when tested and does not forget Allah when ease returns. This is why patience is not a punishment, but a preparation. Eventually, when Allah lifts the delay, the outcome feels different. You receive blessings with humility instead of entitlement. You experience relief with gratitude instead of forgetfulness. You recognize Allah's timing as perfect rather than accidental. The waiting that once felt unbearable becomes the reason your heart is strong enough to hold what Allah gives you next. If you are in a season of waiting, know that Allah sees every moment of restraint, every unanswered dua, and every tear shed quietly. Nothing is wasted. Every second of patience is shaping you into someone capable of handling something greater than you could have carried before. Allah is not late. He is precise. And when His timing arrives, you will understand that the waiting was part of the gift. My dear brothers and sisters, if you recognize yourself in these signs, if you feel that your heart has been tested, reshaped, and quietly guided through difficulty, then know with certainty that Allah has not abandoned you. What you are experiencing is not random and it is not meaningless. Allah does not play with the hearts of His servants. Every detachment, every delay, every quiet tear, and every moment of confusion has been part of a carefully measured process, guided by divine wisdom and mercy. Allah sees what you cannot see, and He knows what you are being protected from as well as what you are being prepared for. When Allah breaks you gently, it is never to destroy you. It is to remove what would have broken you later. It is to free your heart from attachments that could not carry you forward. It is to teach you reliance instead of control, patience instead of panic, and trust instead of fear. Allah strips away illusions so that truth can settle firmly in your heart. He slows you down so that you do not rush into what you are not yet ready to carry. He softens your heart so that when blessings arrive, they do not harden you or pull you away from Him. You may not understand this season now, and you may still feel tired, uncertain, or emotionally heavy, but understanding is not required for trust. Allah never asked you to see the entire picture. He only asked you to hold on to Him. Every moment you remain patient, every dua you whispered in private, and every step you took forward despite fear has been recorded by Allah with care. Nothing you endured has been wasted, and nothing you surrendered has been forgotten. One day, you will look back and realize that what felt like breaking was actually shaping. What felt like loss was actually protection. What felt like silence was actually Allah teaching you how to listen. You will see that Allah was building something within you long before He revealed anything around you. He was strengthening your faith, refining your character, and anchoring your heart in Him so that when the next chapter begins, you are not shaken by ease nor destroyed by responsibility. So if you are in the middle of this process, do not rush Allah's timing and do not doubt His intention. Stay close to Him. Speak to Him honestly. Trust Him even when you do not understand Him. Allah breaks His servants gently because He loves them deeply, and He prepares them carefully because He knows what they are capable of becoming. What is coming will require the strength you are developing now, the patience you are learning now, and the softness you are preserving now. Hold on to Allah, because He has been holding on to you all along, and Allah knows best.